Welcome back to the BigAsp Cornhole podcast. This exclusive interview is brought to you by Local Bags. Do you want the best bags in the business? Visit localbagscompany.com. Get yourself a set today.
At this point in your cornhole life, if you haven't added a set of the sexiest bags around, you're doing something wrong. That's right, Blackjack Cornhole Bags. You get free shipping, amazing customer service. It's a no-brainer, so stop what you're doing and grab your gear from blackjackcornhole.com. Code BigAsp is going to save you 10%.
And why don't you double up on that code and go use it at airwolfathletics.com. You need some of the sexiest cornhole swag in the game. Go visit airwolfathletics.com. Again, code BigAsp saves you 10%.
Also brought to you by Bagsboard, the maker of the original cornhole bag backpack, now offering you a build-your-own feature that has over 10,000 combinations to choose from. Need patches to go on that sweet-ass bag? Bagsboard has some of the best around. Visit bagsboard.com and grab yours today.
Stop being a keyboard warrior and come out from behind the keys and find all your answers at cornholesolutions.com. Again, best boards in the business. Your search is over. Use code BigAsp, get yourself 10% off.
All right, folks, welcome back to the BigAsp Cornhole podcast, where we are now joined by former ACL pro Jordan Camba. What's going on, Jordan?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Dude, you're a third-time guest. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else that's been on 3 times besides like Dogcast?
Yeah, they would probably be the only ones.
Yeah, I think you're the first like 3-time guest, so congratulations, big honor. We know.
Oh, that's special.
Yeah, we'll send you your prize.
Key app ready, like or something for you.
So first of all, just recently, congratulations. I saw that you and Tanner have been kind of on a tear in doubles. I know you guys just recently won regionals in doubles, right?
Yeah, we just won the Ruskin Regional. We've actually on a 4-win streak right now since we started playing there.
Okay. And you said you've been throwing some Vipers and you're liking them and
yeah, throwing with Tanner, with him being with Ultra, it's just, throwing them Vipers. We were actually throwing the last regional. We started out throwing, I want to say they're the Widow X bags.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, them things are sticky. I was able to roll them, but we eventually switched back to the old reliables, the Vipers, towards the the end.
Were your boards playing slow then?
They were playing very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird with them boards. They were super slow with some bags and super fast with bags that shouldn't be so fast. So I don't really know how them boards play there.
Yeah, with the Widow X or the Psycho X or Widow X were you throwing?
It was the Widow X.
Okay. Yeah, it's sometimes those materials they just act weird, like that linen side.
Yeah,
that super slow on that linen side. Yeah, with any humidity at all.
But I've really been liking it. I mean, I've been throwing the Troopers from Alpha Bags, which is kind of like a linen as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started getting used to them, but.
So I guess in the off season you moved to Florida, right?
Yeah, I just moved down here September. Yeah. So
how's the life in Florida going?
It's getting better every day. I love the weather down here. Starting to love the people. It's a little hard for family, but I'm liking it down here a lot.
What are you doing for a job and stuff?
So I'm still in the insurance business. I'm working at State Farm now, trying to be my own agent for my own store.
Okay.
That's the end goal anyway.
There you go. So you were I guess for lack of better terms, you were kind of like the hot topic in the off season right off the bat, right? News was dropped that you were being suspended from the ACL this upcoming season. Before we get into like all the details, can you walk people behind the scenes a little bit on the process of like, how did you even get involved in all this mess?
So, audits. The ACL does a lot of audits. Supposedly that, that's how they found, previous games from when I threw. I mean, it was from back in March. It was about 4 months prior to when they reviewed the game and they saw the mistakes I was making. And, so they do that. Then they set a punishment. I think it's really Stacy that more sets the punishment, the ACL. They send that out to me, and then, I can appeal it if I wanted to, or, I could just, take what it is. So, I did appeal it. So with the appeal process, did you want me to get into the appeal process right now?
Yeah. So can we take a step back for a second? So
yeah.
If we're going into the appeal process, someone else was actually found doing something similar or had the same transgression as you were being accused of doing, and you were actually called to be on a panel, right, of peers, and that's
Yeah,
why you were kind of even brought to light in the first place. Is that correct?
yeah, I was asked to be on a panel from the first person who got caught, and I'm not sure if that's kind of they do background checks almost on the players that they want. But yeah, I was supposed to be on a panel for another player, and then sure enough, I'm that player in the next position.
And that, I mean, he's no longer a pro. I
Yeah,
think that's
he's not.
important to say. Powell, correct? I mean, we can say the name, but he's no longer a
Yeah,
pro. It's kind of
everybody kind
common knowledge by now. I mean, it's okay to say it. All right, so then fast forward, you were Powell asked you to be, because you get to pick the 5 people that are on your panel, and the reason they have a panel, I'm assuming, is to the ACL comes out with a decision. The panel can either say uphold it or pump your brakes. Maybe we should adjust this a little bit. Because you were
Mhm.
selected to be on the panel, they kind of dive into you a little bit, and
Right,
they find you manipulating scores, I guess, for lack of better terms, misentering information, right?
right.
So you're saying they're mistakes. Was it obviously mistakes can happen like that? Was it simply a mistake, or was it laziness? Was it like, oh, it doesn't fucking matter because if it's a wash, who cares?
Mentally, it's more mentally laziness rather than physically. Obviously, push the button, that takes
Yeah.
nothing. But mentally, when you're in a game, you know, 10 years ago, you always scored in your head while you're playing. So you're thinking, I'm either washing, giving up to, or getting to. And it's just mentally, it's a little easier to know exactly how the scoring is versus, where each bag was.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say that, it was complete accident. Obviously, it was an accident. It happened 8 times in one game. I admit I did do it, and, I'm learning from it, growing. But yeah, that's kind of just, it happens.
I
I
mean,
did what I did.
okay. So obviously, so you admit like it wasn't necessarily a mistake that first time, right? Okay, that's whatever. But there was no malicious. Was there? There was no malicious intent. Like you never thought like you were doing this to try to raise your PPR. Like did that ever cross your mind?
No, I wouldn't say it was malicious at all. I wasn't doing it trying to screw, the ACL out of deals. I wasn't doing it to make money off of bets. It was a conference tournament. I wasn't, betting on myself to have a certain PPR. It was just, looking back at it, I think of it more as an excuse as to why I may not win a game or why I may win a game. It's easier to say, I lost, but I threw a 10.5, so I can't be mad. But really, it's uh, going back, it's just like, I don't really know how to explain it. It's, just something that I was doing, trying to relieve myself of how I was actually performing.
Okay, okay.
We're all human. I mean, honestly, it's
And
Right.
so and let's just for timeline's sake, right? The ACL at some point last season had sent out a memo basically saying like, be careful, like make sure that when you're entering the shit in, it better be correct. Um, do you think that they were noticing other people? Do you think there were more people doing it before the memos were sent out? Let's put it that way.
100%. I think
Yeah.
there has been a lot of players that did it before, and personally, I think there's players that did it after. Um, there's a reason that people. There's a reason that some players won't even touch the tablets. Like you go up against an older player, they're going to be like, "I'll pick up the bags, you do the tablet. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want
Chucky
to
Lowe.
be." Dennis,
Yeah.
I understand. With
He's
older
definitely that way, by the way.
Oh yeah.
He won't touch it.
players. But
Do you think that the ACL's ruling was fair? All right. Do you feel like they were using you as like, let's make an example? I mean, 'cause obviously you're a big name player, right? So like
right.
ACL, Jordan Camba, you've been on the broadcast a bunch of times. You just came off having a killer season in doubles. You were doing really well in singles. Do you feel like looking back on it, you've had plenty of time to reflect? Do you think it was fair? And then at the same time, or do you think like maybe they were just using you as like to make an example and maybe scare the shit out of everyone else from making the same mistakes?
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
They definitely made an example out of it, and all these newer players, younger players, even coming into it, they gotta realize that how important the scoring is, and at the end of the day, we're trying to grow the game, and we're trying to make more than 10 players have a living out of this game. You can't take for granted what you have in front of you.
What was your initial thought? Like, I'm assuming they probably sent you like an email or something saying like, this is what you're being accused of. Like, what was your initial thought? Like, did you even remember doing any of this stuff? Like, did they show you the evidence that they had? Like, how did that all go down?
Yeah, so they sent me the email saying, what I did, and then they sent me the links to the clips. And my first initial thought was, oh shit, what am I gonna do? I was panicking at first. I was like, damn, I can't believe this is happening to me. And then, going back, obviously the first thing I did was watch it, and I was like, first person I called was Mike Moore, and I was like, because he was attached to the email, and I'm pretty close with him.
Yeah.
I was like, what do I do? This is all so new to me, and it's crazy how little things can change your whole career.
Absolutely. I mean, so obviously you're not banned, you know what I mean? So you can I'm assuming that they basically told you, maybe without telling you, just be a company man, do what you're supposed to do, keep your nose clean, and things will probably look favorably for you next year through the application process.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've had meetings with, me and my agent, and, the disciplinary action, Josh Keck. I've had meetings with them. I'm doing everything I can this year to be back. I'm growing the game. I'm doing what I can to, like what you said, keep my nose clean. I'm not going to step on any toes or do anything to make that decision at the end of the year easy one.
Well, you just keep coming out and win tournaments. I mean, that's all you can do in the meantime.
Well, I mean, I think if the ACL wants to boast that they have like the best 256 cornhole players in the world playing, I mean, you're one of them. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely there. So, I mean, I think again, like, they made an example out of you this year. As long as you just kind of put your head down, do your thing, I think you'll be okay. What I wanted to ask you is, so you obviously get accused, right, in doing this. You get to call your own panel of individuals. So this is gonna be kind of a two separate street thing. What did you think about the people that you selected to be on your panel upholding the decision by the ACL? And then what did you think about Matthew Stout getting a lesser charge, I guess, if you want to, for lack of better terms?
So what I thought, I picked my panel. I believe it was 4 people. I had to select 6, and then they randomly chose 4. I definitely didn't think that I went into that appeal process thinking I was going to get a punishment, but I wasn't going to be suspended.
I mean, I'm assuming you pick your buddies, right? I mean, that's what I would pick. I want people I think who have my back.
You're right. In the 4 people I picked, I was really close with, and some of them I'm even closer with nowadays. Okay. And it doesn't ruin friendships, but at the end of the day, they got to look out for the game and themselves, and I completely understand that.
Okay. I mean, did it take some time to come to that understanding?
Yeah, it did. It took it. I was out for a couple of weeks just not knowing what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But reflecting back on it, it's something that needed to happen. I wouldn't say it was a harsh punishment. I think they set a really good example, and players won't do it in the future, and that's exactly what they want.
I think the confusing part for a lot of people were, we talked about you and you got your punishment, and then it comes out later that Matthew Stout was not allowed to play in singles, but he's allowed to play in doubles. Was there a small part of you that when you heard that was like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious right now?
See, not really. Okay. Matthew, my hands down, he's probably my best friend.
Yeah, and I knew you guys were close. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I was happy that he didn't get the same thing I got. Do I think it's kind of ironic how one leads to another, I mean, obviously they're checking behind everybody, and that's how people are getting noticed. I kind of, almost regret picking a lot of the people I picked in my panel. I probably should have put a little more thought into it. And, at the end of the day, the panel is what picks your punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt's panel picked his punishment. They upheld what he got, and he got a lesser punishment.
Okay. So was there ever a thought in your mind after you found out that you weren't going to be able to play at the pro level this year? I mean, obviously you can still participate in the open events. You can still go to regionals and all that stuff. You're not banned from the ACL, but was there ever a part of you were thinking like, maybe I should just move away from cornhole altogether and, focus on something else?
Absolutely not. I love the game too much. And
Okay.
I love everything that ACL's done for the game.
Okay.
That was a great response.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean,
it.
it was very political. Do you have anything? Let me see. Pull up a listener question here.
We were talking earlier about your love for Meatloaf. So did you take his passing hard?
Man, it was tough. I didn't even go into work that day.
So full of shit.
I bet you ran out of your house like a bat out of hell. Yeah. It's all right. Just know that I will do anything for love.
I'm sorry for him. All right, so we have a listener question. All right, Nicholas Howell. He always comes up with awesome questions. He wants to know for you and for us. It's March, which means St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner. Tell me one thing that you are superstitious about and have to do before you play to bring you luck. And 2, do you have any good luck charms you carry in your bag, wear, or have to have in your pocket while you play?
Pre-match, I mean, you got to take a shot before every match.
Oh, all right.
That's something.
Okay. What are we taking a shot of?
Not. I wouldn't say I have like a lucky charm.
Okay.
Somebody.
you might be standing behind you.
Yeah. My lucky.
I was saying, do you have any superstitions when you play?
I do.
Okay, I want to hear it. I don't.
So oddly enough, if you watch me play, I always put my left hand in my right pocket, like just before I shoot.
Really?
Like just my thumb.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it's not like I don't leave it in there. It's just like real quick. It's just like a little boop. I don't know why. It's
Really?
like, yeah, because I think I used to like to keep my like body tighter. I used to like do that, and now it's just like a habit.
Oh,
like it was just something I tried once, and like it's weird. I know. It's
yeah,
weird. It doesn't. I don't have any other superstition besides I always have my pro advantages somewhere on me.
Really?
They're always either in my car or in my bags board, just in case. They're always somewhere.
Yeah, I was trying to think about it because I saw the question come in earlier today. I don't really have any. Like, I don't have anything. Maybe I should start. Maybe I should find something that works and just go with it. But yeah, I don't really have any superstitions or anything I keep in my pocket, or I just hope that I have my cell phone in my wallet. And besides that, we're gonna be okay.
I mean, I guess like I always drink too. I always like if it's a tournament, always a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, that's true.
On the way in, I mean,
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I win and I had a beer, I have to have a beer in the next match.
Yeah,
I mean, like, yeah, and I mean, like, kind of one of those. I wanted to ask you. So last year, you and James had a crazy amount of success, right? So you guys won a national championship at doubles. You guys are rolling. Obviously, you weren't allowed to play this year. He partners up with Cheyenne Renner. Is it hard at all to watch him have success with a different partner?
Very. That was probably the hardest thing that I had to go through about this whole thing was, losing my partnership with him.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know that was something that you were talking about. It was always somebody that you had looked up to, somebody that you'd always wanted to double up. And then since you guys started playing together, I mean, you guys were pretty much running shit. I mean, you guys were one of the top 4 teams every time. You'd think, anytime you're asking for predictions, you guys were always in the conversation. Do you think, and obviously I know we're looking into a crystal ball right now. Is that something that you hope that you guys will get to play again? Do you feel like you might go a different direction? I
Too early to tell. I mean, it's
yeah.
No, I don't think I'd be playing with him again.
Okay.
I don't know. I could say if I was in his shoes, I probably wouldn't play with me either. But I did ask him about a month ago if I got my pro status back, were you still planning on playing with Cheyenne? He said, yeah. So I just took it as that, took the high road and moved on. I still look up to him. He's still considered friend. It is what it is.
I mean, I guess when you look at back though, I mean, listen, the whole situation, obviously when it first came down, everyone was like, who's Baldwin going to play with now? I mean, it seemed to work out for him pretty well. I mean, like, you know what I mean? So like, I have a hard time feeling bad for, James, I mean, he still is getting to throw a Cheyenne who is just, I mean, at the same level, I mean, she's the most talented female player in the game by far. No, I was interested to see kind of where you guys left it off and, if you're going to be kind of a free agent, possibly entering in next season. And
yeah, as of right now, I am probably gonna I am a free agent. That's considering I get everything back. James is always gonna be my first choice. If he changes his mind last second,
even over your future brother-in-law.
Oh man, I don't think he would ever leave easy, but
okay,
that's very tough.
Yeah, I would say that you guys would make a tough team too. Nothing against Easy. I mean, I think he's a great player too, but you guys obviously gel well together.
Yeah, we definitely throw well. It's a little tougher than with Tanner. I'll say he gives a little more body language than James. James is a statue on the other hand.
Yeah.
Tanner on the other hand, he'll if I threw a bad shot.
Okay. All right.
What about what about
makes
you
me
and
better.
maybe Stout? Is that a potential?
Well, he's with Corley right now.
I don't think I would be able to focus if I played with Matt. No, I would just be having too much fun. At the end of the day, you're there to make money. You're there to win. You can't be. And I had that same problem when I played with DK. I had too much fun flowing with him, and we just kind of took it for granted. If we lost, hey, let's go to the casino. If I'm with Matt, we lose, hey, go a couple more drinks. I just wouldn't care as much.
I got you.
With James,
we had one more listener question from our Patreon. It was Dave Sadie. He wants to. You've played. So now, obviously, you're familiar with the ACL software, like the scoring, entering it all in. I'm assuming you've played like Scoreholio events, entering it on the tablets and stuff too. Do you wish?
Yes.
You're allowed to say yes now. I mean, they're all part of the same umbrella, so they can use it. Do you wish that like the ACL would adopt like just one scoring system and not have like multiple scoring system? Because I know at least when you go to these big open tournaments, some people all they're familiar with is Scoreholio. Some people all they're familiar with is ACL, and they get these tablets and it gets confusing. Do you feel like that would help minimize some of the confusion on these tablets and stuff if they would just go to one universal type scoring system?
I think it would be better. I think, all these companies link up and put all their software together and make one really, really nice software. That would be the easiest. I mean, you could say the same thing with cornhole leagues in general. If all the cornhole leagues together, you're only going to grow.
Yeah, I agree. All right.
Who asked that question?
Dave Sadie. So I appreciate coming on. So I know I've been trying to have you come on for a while, and I decided I'm like, listen, and I told you when you're ready, reach out to us. Like people wanted to hear like the backstory, like how it all came about, and like obviously like it had been reported on previously, but like it means more. I think this puts you in a good light. I think, and I remember I talked to you right after it happened and we were kind of going back and forth. I'm like, listen, there's one or two ways you can handle it. If you just go head first and just like admit, but like, listen, I made a mistake. We're all humans. Listen, by next year, people just want to see the best cornhole players on the court. You're one of the best 256 people in the world throwing bags at a hole. You know what I mean? I think it's a no-brainer that you're going to get accepted next year. I mean, you're already doing well in the open events. You're doing well in the regional events. I hope to see you back on the court. I mean, obviously we're a fan of you. You've been on our show more than anyone else. I think it was you and Josh Gross.
I was gonna say, was Josh on 3
Yeah, I
times?
think Josh. Yeah, because third time was Eddie because he's been on a few times. So I think you and Josh Gross now are tied for the lead for most appearances on the show. But if you ever need anything from us, we're always rooting for you. I'm excited because if I don't know who you're playing with, I mean the possibilities are endless.
Hey, that could be the next podcast.
It could. I think that's going to be the next podcast.
Yeah,
I know
good
you can
reveal.
make your big announcement.
Yeah, that would be cool. I really hope some things happened, and I hope everything works out. I know everything will work out, but
yeah, I think if you keep doing what you're doing, I think it's a no-brainer. I really do. I think that they made their point. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to come down to the one thing I did find odd is that at least 2 out of the 3 people that were suspended or got in trouble were all from like the same area, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder if like how much the ACL looked into all the other conferences and areas, and it just seemed odd to me that it was just all one area.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the auditing comes from who players put on their panel because,
yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. If I was the ACL, I'd look into those players before I put them on the panel too.
So one more question. Was the decision to move, was it just professional or did it have anything to do with all the stuff that went down with the ACL, or were you already planning on moving?
Oh, Florida, that was a last minute thing. We were actually set on buying a house in Virginia.
Yeah.
2 days prior to when we were supposed to close on the house, Carly was working for my old sponsor, Cornhole Ace. They terminated her, 2 days before we're about to close, and we lost the loan on the house. And the timing that everything happened was so tough because it all happened together. Everything happened together. We lost the house. I got suspended, and then sure enough, it's the beginning of the season. But I think everything happens for a reason.
Listen, having a fresh start in a new place is not necessarily a bad thing, especially this year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep your head. I mean, for you, it's going to be hard to kind of like fly under the radar just because, like, you've been on ESPN, people know you in the cornhole scene. So it'll be tough, but at least going to a new area, it's going to be a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely tough. I find myself explaining my situation to there's so many players that don't even know that, I'm suspended. I was just talking to a lady the other day. She came up to me. I saw you on TV. And she said, when are you playing next? And it's tough explaining it to all these people, but eventually they'll know.
Well, I'll just send you the link to our episode. Just forward the link to them all. They can just listen to it here, so you don't have to sit there and explain it to everybody. It'll be way easier.
All right.
I think that'll be good. All right, man. We'll stop taking up any of your time. So we'll let the people go at home. We'll have you hang on just for a minute. We'll chop it up for a bit. But thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I know a lot of people wanted to hear the story and kind of know where you were at and where you're standing and where it looks for next year. I think it looks good, but we hope to see you back on the boards, on ESPN, all that fun stuff. And I know it'll happen.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, people. Well, as always, we hope you throw it straight, and it's nothing but 4 baggers from here on out.
Cornhole.
Later.